Mark 15, 1 through 41. As soon as morning came, the chief priests held a council meeting with the elders, the legal experts, and the whole Sanhedrin. They bound Jesus, took him off to Pilate, and handed him over. "Are you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate. "You have said it," replied Jesus. The chief priests laid many accusations against him. Pilate again interrogated him. "Aren't you going to make any reply? Look how many things they're accusing you of." But Jesus gave no reply at all, which astonished Pilate. The custom was that at festival time he would release for them a single prisoner, whoever they would ask for. There was a man in prison named Barabbas, one of the revolutionaries who had committed murder during the uprising. So the crowd came up and began to ask Pilate to do what he normally did. "Do you want me," answered Pilate, "to release you, the king of the Jews?" He said this because he knew that the chief priests had handed him over out of envy. The chief priests stirred up the crowd and asked for Barabbas instead to be released to them. So Pilate asked them, "What then do you want me to do with the one you call the king of the Jews?" "Crucify him," they shouted again. "Why?" asked Pilate. "What has he done wrong?" "Crucify him," they shouted all the louder. Pilate wanted to satisfy the crowd, so he released Barabbas for them. He had also had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers took Jesus into the courtyard, that is the praetorium, and called together the whole squad. They dressed Jesus up in purple. Then, weaving together a crown of thorns, they stuck it on him. They began to salute him. "Greetings, King of the Jews." And they hit him over the head with a staff and spat on him and knelt to do him homage. Then, when they had mocked him, they took the purple robe off him and put his clothes back on. They led him off to crucify him. They compelled a man called Simon to carry Jesus' cross. He was from Cyrene and was coming in from out of town. He was the father of Alexander and Rufus. They took Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which in translation means skull's place. They gave him a mixture of wine and myrrh, but he didn't drink it. So they crucified him. They parted his clothing between them, and then casting lots to see who would get what. It was about 9 o'clock in the morning when they crucified him. The inscription giving the charge read, "The King of the Jews." They also crucified 2 bandits alongside him, one on his right and one on his left. People who were passing by abused him. They shook their heads at him. "Ha!" they said, "You were going to destroy the temple, were you? And build it again in 3 days? Why don't you rescue yourself? Come down from that cross." The chief priests and the lawyers were mocking him in the same way among themselves. "He rescued others," they said, "but he can't rescue himself. Messiah, is he? King of Israel, did he say? Well, let's see him come down from the cross. We'll believe him when we see that." The 2 who were crucified along him taunted him as well. At midday, there was a darkness all over the land until 3 in the afternoon. At 3 o'clock, Jesus shouted out in a powerful voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why did you abandon me?" When the bystanders heard it, some of them said, "He's calling for Elijah." One of them ran and filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on a pole, and gave it to him to drink. "Well then," he declared, "let's see if Elijah will come and take him down." But Jesus, with another loud shout, breathed his last. The temple was torn in 2 from top to bottom. When the centurion who was standing facing him saw that he had died this way, he said, "This fellow really was God's son." Some women were watching from a distance. They included Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of the younger James and of Joseph, and Salome. They had followed Jesus in Galilee, and they had attended to his needs. There were several other women, too, who had come up with them to Jerusalem. Were the whole realm of nature mine, that were an offering too small, love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all.